Hello there, guys. For now, our pocket is again playing with the quotes. On some pairs, I want to spend a little time. We come here for the numbers, right? And not to absorb information of some kind. Well, today I will be checking the quotes. On Pocket, a 5-minute chart will initially be open to avoid any drastic discrepancies. So then, in principle, well, if GPY is open, I can take a look. The priority will be a retracement movement from the level. I don't see anything nearby. I won't enter for an increase for continuation. Therefore, I am looking for a situation and will return. In this situation with Euro IUD, I would be ready to enter for the continuation of the movement, 56%, and a very strong discrepancy in quotes. Look, even the candles are different. That's what I was talking about. Therefore, if this kind of thing happens, I would even say that, Pocket is lagging. And trading can be used to your advantage. Let's check it out. We'll do a test now. Theoretically, we are now somewhere in the middle of this large candle. Somewhere around here on trading view. So we are waiting for now, 4 seconds to the end. It's fluctuating around the opening point. But the gain is insignificant. We have a shortage of one candle here, a green one. Here too, it's fluctuating in place, so it's not much. All right, I won't do it like this. I'll go look for a situation that fits. If I don't find one, but salam, I'll just go to OTC or I'll analyze the quotes. Let's see. So USDTC, a candle like this, a candle like that. Now it's green. There's still some distance to this stop. The percentage is small though, but the market doesn't offer many options. So we'll look around this area. Damn, it even closed with a gap. That is the candle closed at this point. It turns out the opening happened above. According to the analysis, what's going to happen now is firstly, a good full-bodied candle. Secondly, the volume on the seller is increasing. Thirdly, we had a trending movement here. At this point, the buyer should have picked up, going to update their highs. And in principle, they did update the previous ones. But we have a pullback movement where in the nearest local area, the buyer does not pick up. They go lower. So logically in this piece, the priority is with the seller and the seller. The next targets are located right in this place. So this range can be tried to open on the strong side because the candle is strong. There is no loss of strength at the bottom of the candle. The zone of interest remains neutral with the seller. Regarding this cluster, one can say 1-1. There is absolutely no volume for the buyer. It increases for the seller, logically speaking, overall. For the strong side at the moment, yes, I would like to try to capture the pullback movement here. The only thing I haven't checked yet is whether the buyer has room to go higher. The buyer has a reason to go higher. But for now, I see a lot of evidence in favor of the seller. And I would like to see movement, even an attempt to move to this stop, because it makes sense not to let the buyer go higher at this point, but to go down again and issue strong candles. This is what I don't understand yet. So use this HFA. Here, it might be necessary to use it. Well, you can turn on S5. In principle, I compared the quotes. Well, we're hovering around the opening point. So we'll need to add a chaser here. So movement downward. It hasn't happened yet. And now we wait a little longer. So 48 seconds to go. We're going lower. Look, they're buying up, going lower. So far, everything is going according to the analysis. I don't see any unnecessary movements in the package. We continue to wait. So 2 seconds to go. Plus showing. Well, I took the chasers. I'll return I to M5 to watch. You see the candles are even the same. So this discrepancy is only on some quotes. For some reason, it goes. So I am looking for the situation further and will return. Well, here it is, Euro CHF. Here no. How come beer and also no percentage? Interesting guys, cats, chiefs, quotes. In principle, it corresponds to the nearest place where a buyer might be at this moment. And there is a little volume by volume. I will raise this area, understanding that there is liquidity in principle. You can come here. From here, you can consider entering for an increase specifically to this area, going against this trend. Again, there was no reaction from the first local. We did not continue with the trend. We went down. That is the nearest point where a buyer might appear. And then, what is the point of this movement? Why do this? To try to gather some liquidity. By the way, there was also accumulation here. Most likely, this is why our volume increased. That is, there is a point in going down. There were 3 candles here, larger ones. Now the candle is getting smaller. What about the volume? The volume for 18 seconds will also be less. Fewer buyers, fewer sellers. That is, there is already weakness in the volume. According to the cluster, 9 seconds. According to the cluster, the area of interest is again neutral. But below, in principle, the strength is not decreasing. That is, we can go lower. And in the end, look, the number of buyers becomes almost the same as it was in the previous candle. And the seller is losing their strength. Divergence. A lot of discrepancies. Therefore, in this case, I would go up to this area if the price comes here. That is, I can set an alert approximately here and let it hang around. I am looking for the situation further. What I see in principle suggests that there's nothing to do here. Well, I'll try to click through once more. I click through entry points. I do not find any. At the moment, this is how it turns out for us. This was just a trial. In essence, I found one trade. What else can I do in this situation except go to OTC? I have no other choice, so I will look for situations here. For example, the situation here can be tried to be taken in your favor to 1500, so the situation is not difficult in principle, but such a retracement movement, of course, a sharp one, I did not expect. Come on, give me another retracement. I would have opened a bit higher at the tip, but let's take it here. Why is there an entry for a decrease here? Just look, entry by trend. You have a good trending movement. Next, we make this minimum. From this minimum, our correction begins. Then we don't let it go above this buyer's stop. That is, we don't allow our trend to be broken. And we go down again. Logically, we go down again by the trend. For what purpose? In order to try to pass this minimum. But since we don't have information in general from indicators, except for candles and logic, I want to protect myself. Namely, since we don't let the buyer go higher at this moment and go down again, for what purpose? In order to update the minimum and continue our trend. So this is the distance to this area. I would like to use it to my advantage, because where can the buyer appear based on facts? Based on facts, they can only appear at the nearest stop, where this happened a little earlier. So this distance is free, and you can try to take everything to your advantage. So there are 5 seconds left until the end of one, and the first one gives a catch up for another 2 minutes. For now, I've returned the entire amount here. And we are currently at this stop, by the way, also recording. At a minimum, if the buyer can demonstrate something now, we will see some small buyer here. If the seller intends to pass this stop, we will see resistance from the seller, specifically the buybacks of the buyer's movements. This is essentially the imposition of a struggle. The trend seller is going, so we are waiting a little until the end of the deal. 5 seconds remain until the end of the catch-up. This is also a plus. All right, there are 2 pluses in this pair. I am looking for the situation further. So in this situation, in principle, I believe that 4 minutes for an increase is justified. For what reason? Let's take a look. Initially, we had a downward trend. Everything was going well. Our lows were all being updated, going lower. But after this low, something went wrong. The buyer is compared to their previous high pistol of this trend. And here, 2 scenarios immediately arise. Either now from this high, the seller picks up again according to their trend, and goes on to try to update the low further in order to continue their trend. Or, this is a breakdown. We didn't see the seller here. They made such a downward move. The buyer dominated again, bought it up, and issued such a candle response. The buyers, they move further to the next stop, go into accumulation, an attempt from this accumulation. Again, the sellers try to do something, but they are not allowed to push it down. They go again. The buyers are now passing through this accumulation. This is the accumulation. There are a lot of drawings here moving on. That is, this trend in this segment no longer makes any sense. What makes sense for us now? Now it makes sense for us because the buyer is currently in priority. He broke the trend, good for him. Where can a seller appear for us? Where? A seller should appear in those places where we see some facts. For example, a trend's maximum. We saw that in this situation, the buyer was not allowed to go down and the sellers initiated a downward movement. That is, we can assume that theoretically in this area, we might encounter resistance from the seller. So what can we do? We can try to wait for the price in this area and take a position for a decrease from there. Or we can take a position on the strong side up to this area as the distance allows us. 3 minutes have passed since the candle. The candle is still full-bodied. That's good. That is, the strength is with the buyer. Why not give it a try? Why not take advantage of it? So I'll switch to M5. It's unclear what's happening here. We took it almost at the very top. It's not a big deal. We have 2 minutes. We are very close to the opening point. I won't use a catch-up for now. There, I'll be rooting for the strong side. Most likely tap for 4 minutes. For now, we wait a little. There was an attempt to take the plus, but it sharply pulled back here for some reason. No. And now I have some questions. Questions for the buyer. Why does he allow such things to be done to him? On the 5-minute chart, we have a stop. All right. I will, in general, utilize a more global time frame. The maximum they can do is retest this area again as a reference point and go higher. I will use it, as I initially said. I'll even take 5 minutes here. Entry for an increase on the strong side. We wait. 5 seconds left until the end. It basically goes up. Movement. I take the checks on the board. The situation is basically worked out. I'll try to find another one. Or, you know what? Let's go back and probably see what's happening in the main market. Oh, by the way, how Sochi FSM reacts directly from this place. Damn. I placed a plus, but it didn't send me a notification. I could have taken a good profit. Euro Sochi F could have been considered above CAT. Gebra, Setakef, Matosis. Got it. Pushing zone. What do we have below? Below the main minimum. Ah, good, big, we're flying past. Alright, got it. Not mine. All right, we're flying somewhere. Everyone is flying somewhere. And everything is flying down. Use the cut. Maybe it will crawl to this place. Let's check the quotes. There is a percentage. The quotes seem to be correct. Let's take a look. But again, damn. By the way, there's decent support for market profiles from this point. But can they not reach it? There are a lot of buyers at the top. So theoretically, they can go even higher. Regarding the stop, I would probably note it in such a manner to capture this volume. And this little stop here. So right now, there are few sellers, more buyers than before. This is bad. A lot of volume is a bad option for entering downwards. At the very top of the candle, it feels like they really want to go through all of this. Why is there so much here? Where are you coming from now? Honestly, the chart seems so calm to me in comparison. What is happening here? And the removal of one maximum. But, seller, where are you? Where are you in the cluster by volume? Something I should latch onto. I can't just take an entry because I'm approaching the area. It's the same situation as it was on the OTC. We are now comparing ourselves to our previous maximum, where there are two scenarios. There's a third one. It could go to the right if you want. To understand this info, I need to see. Look, 160. I won't get into this. No, that's just stupid to drain. All right, I'll go to the OTC, finish up. More OTC, I'm coming back. Guys, I can't even find entry points on the OTC. I've even come to crypto now. And here's the picture on M5, it's good. A trending movement. There was a pullback movement. Two liquidities were taken out, didn't go down, went up with a good movement. For what? In order to try to surpass this maximum and continue its trend. And here I can't understand from the history. Yes, where is what here? I'll have to use H1. Good, full bodied. Take a look. I see this picture that this maximum has already been taken out. The seller I showed, and now we are approaching here with a stronger candle in order to surpass this maximum and move towards the main stops. So in general, I see an entry for an increase here. It makes sense to try and take a profit before this maximum is surpassed. Logical, right? It will be safer because after surpassing, a pullback movement might occur. And since a pullback is already happening in principle, I'll try to do that. This will be the last trade. So in principle, even according to my logic, I got lucky that we are pulling back in this situation. And this is the distance to this maximum. I would like to try to take advantage of it. Because overall, I understand that we are going to surpass this maximum. And there was a downward movement from that maximum, meaning there might be some volume concentrated here. And after it is surpassed, a pullback movement might occur. So it's like a 50-50 situation. Without indicators, it's unclear what will happen. That's why, in principle, this is the distance. For me, it looks quite good. Try it first with 2 minutes. If it works out, great, the situation is handled. Handled on the strong side according to the larger time frame. And I won't have any questions for myself. But things don't always go as we would like. Here, for now, it's 1 minute. I won't use that yet. We are waiting near the opening point for now, but there's a very strong movement here. The opposite side is happening, and here I'll have to use a catch-up strategy. With a longer time, 2 minutes didn't work out. I couldn't take advantage. Could I have predicted such a movement? No, it would be okay if we hadn't reached the maximum, and this movement happened after updating the maximum, but before. But here, what do we have? A decent candle with minimal pullback. If I make a stop, then I already had a reaction from this stop. Yes, that is. I showed the seller weekly. There was a buyback, and then a good candle upwards. So it's logical, right, that we go higher. It's quite possible that more catch-ups will be needed. Well, what is this? Where is this even going? This is suitable. This is not suitable anywhere. This is the nearest local point. The buyer should do something here if they intend to go for a new high again. And this, by the way, is also a good place for the fifth catch-up. We expect so. 2 seconds to the end. Here near the opening point, it's hovering, but damn, I absolutely can't call this a serious advantage, and I'm not really inclined to compare bits with OTC. At least I feel that very edge when, look, it seems like everything is going well, everything is listening to you, it eventually goes where it should, and then, yes, something goes wrong. You analyze that it should eventually go higher, but out of nowhere, an inexplicable candle appears, which is unclear how to justify it all, and it throws you off and on what? On the second chase, right? So here is where the line between continuing further and stopping is drawn, right? Something has already gone wrong. It's not going where I predict. So for me, this will be the stop button. For me, in principle, the trading session turned out to be more than enough. Again, I'll repeat, I don't want to compete with OTC. If it were a regular chart, I would go and compete with it. But with UTC, I'm honestly scared. By the way, there was already a rollback. Let's really check again. Aha, USD CAD has rolled back here. I still decided not to enter it. Here's GBP CCF. The percentage is good. We're already rolling back. It took a long time to open. Already removed. Already removed, right? Let's see what's happening with the buyers here. The zone of interest is above. Okay, the seller is falling. The patcher looks more or less confident compared to the falling seller. No, I didn't make it in time. Here's CAD with CHF. If they allow it, it seems they will. I'll consider entering for an increase. So, everything is clear here with the quotes. I'll return to C5 to make it a bit more familiar. And now I'm entering essentially from this stop, which doesn't want to be marked for me. From this stop, where a seller appeared along the trend, where the seller wasn't allowed down, buyers shot up again and were active now for some period of time. And now we are approaching for the first time during this period. How are we approaching further? We are approaching where the buyer is revealed by the cluster. The first approach in a long time from where there was an upward movement, that's basically 2. In terms of volume, of course, our volume increases due to the appearance of the seller, and the buyer, in this particular candle, becomes less, which is generally normal as the buyer should appear at the very lows, so our volume remains +1 for the sellers. Plus, it doesn't give back to me in this situation. Let's see, a buyer appeared, the buyer made a pullback movement, but he doesn't let the candle go higher. So we are following this movement. Where can the next buyer appear after the minimum is removed? In this case, basically I still lean towards CHF. I will consider entering for an increase here, but I'll take more time. 250, here's 650. The percentage is good. And that is for it now, because now we wait. So, well, managing to connect, there's a return here. Well, like a pullback movement occurred, I didn't catch it. As a result, I'm left with a minus of $100, and the buyback didn't. They are buying this, by the way. It looks like further movement downwards, so they give resistance that has completely disappeared. The volume here is not a fact in these $100. The fact is that the market is bending me over, and that annoys me more. So, and SD card with YPY is a very similar place. Solid, no buyer on the left, so probably not. Return to KTSF, right? Damn, it really suggests itself to open downwards. It really suggests itself. There is constant resistance. I think I'll take the chance to deal with it and open a trade here for 4 minutes. Well, of course, yes, as always. Well, as always, but why? Why? When it opens, is it already red? Look at what movement is being lost. Well, really, you can calmly take it to your advantage. I'll still try to deal with it. There are 20 seconds left until the end. 4 minutes, as they say, my problems, a rollback movement is happening. Again, it's unclear from where it originates, with some kind of unclear candle. Alright, fine, 250. I understand you. Then, in this way, we send here an amount of 750. The point in staying, I see absolutely none. KCCHF, it will be something around probably 4 minutes, a catch-up on the decline. Interesting, you're really rocking me today. 15 seconds remain until the end. I would like to believe that it won't return to my opening point and give me a shave. So, well, it seems like she shouldn't do it anymore. Alright guys, you just witnessed purely my fighting with her because I really needed to close it in the positive. Yes, to catch this downward movement, that's how it looks on TradingQ. That is, there were already risks here, but I also slightly lowered the amount. So what do we have in the end? In the end, for the trading session, we get something like this. You saw all the trades. That's how my trading session turned out. Give it a like, leave a nice comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And overall, what overall? Alright, goodbye.